Hi everyone, and welcome to today's Chrissy B Show, and we are shining the light on autism since it's World Autism Awareness Week between the 26th of March to the 2nd of April. I'll be speaking to Dr. Audrey Tang, who gives us a psychological background on autism, and parenting coach Sharon Lawton tells us how parents can help care for those on the spectrum. Contributor and autism correspondent Anna Kennedy tells us what she's been up to, and she brings along her guest and Autism's Got Talent participant Emma Ahwai to talk about her life with autism. Resident nutritionist Laura Southern gives us a healthy, nutritious recipe that aims to help alleviate adverse symptoms, and newsreader Helena Chard perks us up with some feel-good news in this week's A Helping of Happy. And at the end of the show, I'll be sharing some common feelings that some of those with autism have, and it's very enlightening. According to the Office of National Statistics, autism affects more than 1 in 100 people here in the UK, which means around 2.8 million are on the spectrum. And studies from the Autism Society state only 10% of autistic adults receive employment support, and 1 in 3 experience severe mental health difficulties due to a lack of support. So what are you saying on Twitter? Network Autism is giving us an insight into the life of those with autism, stating, FA, common for autistic children to wake up multiple times at night, as well as irregular sleep patterns. This tires them out, but also their parents, caregivers, so can be a challenge for the whole family. Ryan says, my personal highlight was someone telling me that I cannot possibly understand what autism is until I have an autistic child. This person was aware of the fact I was autistic, yet they insisted that because she was a parent, she knew what autism was better than I did. Growing Up Autistic says, in school, I used to write notes as I had social anxiety. Some of these I kept. I wrote to a teacher, I want a kind world where people clap at football matches. I used to suffer with shaky hands. I remember this, and I was implying that we should support each other. Demi is bringing up a point. Tweets like, I deafs have autism when describing something stupid they did is so disrespectful and wrong. So what does our resident psychologist Dr. Audrey Tang have to say? Well, here she is. Welcome to the show, Audrey.
Thanks for having me, Chrissy.
So first of all, can you tell us what autism exactly is?
It's a spectrum disorder, and its main symptoms seem to affect interactions, social communication, and social imagination. So what I mean by social interactions is the person who's on the autistic spectrum, and by spectrum, I better go back there quickly and just say, by spectrum, it means that you can have varying severities of the symptoms itself, and also very much like a spectrum where lots of different colours can come out of that. Okay. No one with autism necessarily has exactly the same symptoms as anybody else. Right. Okay. But to go back to those particular symptoms, social interactions may well be that person doesn't like being around crowds. They might find them too busy, too much, too loud. Social communication, maybe somebody who is just very blunt, very to the point, almost to the point of rudeness, where it might well be saying, oh, you're fat, just because that's a description of the person, not because they're being rude.
Yeah, yeah.
And with imagination, often people with autism take things very literally and find it very difficult to engage in imaginative or non-fiction play. Okay. So those are the key areas for
What
autism.
kind of mental health implications does that involve?
There are some for the person who is on the spectrum, there are some for the carer or the parent. And in terms of the carer or the parent, first of all, the parent is not necessarily expecting to have a child who is on the spectrum. So one thing they have to do first is almost, and it is a very controversial, very harsh word to use, but it's grieving for the child that maybe they thought they were going to have, and learn to love and learn to support the child that they've got. And with that can sometimes mean a whole adjustment of what love and how to express love actually is all about. For people with autism, a hug may be completely what they don't want. Okay. Maybe it's not just because they don't show love or affection in that way or feel it's unnecessary. It can be as simple as the body heat is too much. I just don't enjoy this sensation. And especially when you're a child, you can't express that feeling, and you may squirm and then try and push somebody away. And that to a parent can feel like it's a rejection. So it's about re-educating yourself as a parent to be able to support and manage that particular disorder. Also, as with any diagnosis, it's how you work with it, and it's your decision as to how you choose to live with your diagnosis. I always say explain it rather than excuse it. Don't say, oh, I've got this and that's what makes me in this particular way. No, teach people about it.
No, that's good.
They want to know, and if they don't want to know or don't know, then perhaps they need to be educated, because we do need to talk about these disorders a lot more, and we do need to talk about how they can be supported. Now, some of the other things somebody with autism is going through, they may be seen as behaviours or symptoms of the disorder, but actually they could be coping mechanisms. So one thing that is often cited when we're talking about autism is, counting backwards in threes. That's not necessarily a trait of someone who's autistic, but it may be a coping mechanism to filter out all of the noises, all of the sounds, all of the things that are coming at that person, just so they can actually listen to the one voice that they're supposed to be listening to. Similarly, eye contact. Someone with autism may actually just feel there's no need for eye contact because I'm saying what I'm saying, it's perfectly true. Why do I need to look at you to prove that I'm telling the truth? Those social nuances that we've come to realise are relatively normal, most people use them, they may not be needed for somebody with autism. Similarly, when we talk about conversations, somebody with autism may echo what was said last. Not because they weren't listening, not because they can't understand, but actually because what they've realised is a social nuance is you speak, I speak, you speak, I speak. But because I don't need to make small talk, why do I need to do anything else? I'll echo the last thing you said, I'll paraphrase what you just said. And so it's a way of dealing with what's in your head as something that's a norm or what people do, and actually what you feel like doing or feel like saying and feel is right for you to do. So sometimes it's a case of not confusing a coping strategy with, this person always does that particular thing.
Are there any special benefits that autistic people have?
Well, often somebody who's on the spectrum it can be very good at memory problems, solving problems, and mathematics and music sometimes as well. So those are the exceptional talents that you might see. But that doesn't mean to say that somebody on the spectrum can't do anything else. It also does not mean to say that somebody on the spectrum can't have a relationship or anything like that, or can't be extremely good at public speaking or extremely talented at things which you would normally think needs a lot more social interaction, like teaching. What a lot of adults with autism tend to do is actually say, I'm autistic, I have these issues, it means I might need to turn my head when I speak so I can listen to you properly. This is not strange, this is just something that I do. They've got better at explaining what it is.
That's good.
And also, the advantage of any form of diagnosis is you have the chance to educate other people. You have the chance to learn, to be an advocate, and to get more people talking about it, which means there are more ways of dealing with it, more ways of managing it. And hopefully also, it's important to work together and collaborate, and that's something which doesn't usually happen because you've got the parent doing one thing, teacher doing another thing, all these other groups doing something else. But sometimes when you've got a diagnosis, bringing together all of those different minds, you don't know what else could come out of that as well.
Brilliant. Audrey, thank you so much.
Pleasure.
And we'll see you again next week.
Thank you.
Well, everyone, living with autism can be difficult for individuals, but often those that also find life difficult, as Audrey was saying, are the parents. So here's parenting coach Sharon Lawton giving us some advice that is sure to help the parents out there.
Hi, so I'm Sharon Lawton, the resident family coach on the show, and today we're going to be talking about autism and parenting. So challenges come in phases really, and I guess it just sort of depends on whereabouts the parent is on their journey. So let's say, for example, the parent is very much on the beginning of their journey and they're not, they haven't got a diagnosis as yet. So those challenges might be just around just getting people to believe them around the fact that their child is displaying traits of autism. And then there are issues around particularly where getting someone to believe them is concerned. If the child isn't displaying those signs at school, that can be very challenging. Also, there are areas around feelings of isolation, feelings of lack of confidence, and also feelings of guilt. Now, the feelings of guilt can be around very much that maybe the parent is spending a lot of time and attention focusing on the child with autism's needs, and therefore the child, the other siblings, the other children in the family maybe aren't getting as much attention, so parents can feel very very guilty about that. Confidence can really take a knock. That can be a real big challenge because, of course, the challenges that the parent are facing now will be very different to what their expectations were of how they were going to parent. So that can be a real challenge. Then the final one I would say really is about other people's expectations. So the parent is dealing with new behaviour themselves, but also the challenges of other people's expectations on how they feel that their children should be behaving. So if we think about tips, some of the tips that parents, that I would recommend for parents to use, the first thing I would say is get to know your child's triggers. Really get to know them, get to know what escalates your child, but also get to know what helps to soothe and regulate them. So find ways that you can help your child to communicate with you non-verbally. So there are tools such as the incredible 5-point scale, and also there are other tips and other tools out there that will be really, really helpful. So that would definitely be one thing. The other thing is trust your instincts. You know your child best. You are the expert on your child, nobody else. So trust yourself, trust your instincts, try different things and just keep trying until they work. Think about your child's sensory temperament. So what I mean by that is what really helps your child. So if it really helps your child to run, build running into their everyday experience, and that will really help them. And then finally, I would say, where tips are concerned, is look out for support groups. There are some fantastic support groups out there. Have a look for those support groups, because in those support groups you will not only get some great advice and support, but also you will find people who you can share your experiences with, people who really know what you're going through, but also people that you can just have a coffee with, and of course people that you can laugh as well as cry with. So if I were to say, what are the type of things that you can do to help yourself to better parent? The first thing I would absolutely say is to look after yourself. There is a reason why on the aeroplane that they say in the safety talk, put your own oxygen mask on first before attending to the people that you're travelling with. You need to look after yourself, because if you're not keeping yourself topped up emotionally, you're not going to be there to be able to best support your young person. So make sure that you do that. Find ways in which you can support yourself. Be kind to yourself. Maybe find not just those support groups that I mentioned earlier, because obviously that helps with isolation, but also maybe have a think about taking some time out for you, doing something nice for yourself. And also, maybe consider a little bit of mindfulness or an exercise class, or just taking a walk and getting some fresh air. So really important to start with. So the next thing I would say is, if you're out and your child maybe is struggling, be proactive. Have a think about that. Have a plan so that you're not sort of like left on the back foot. So what I'm actually saying is, have a think about when you're out and your child is really struggling, have a way out. Have a way of thinking, right, and looking at the situation, this isn't really working for me, it isn't really working for my child, so that you feel empowered and confident enough to say, do you know what, this isn't working for us right now, so we're going to leave. And don't be worried about that, just, know your child best, as I said earlier. And then the final thing is, it's very easy for us to miss the beautiful strengths that your child will have. Have a look at what they do well. Have a look at what their gifts are. All children on the autistic spectrum will have something that they excel in. Celebrate that, rather than looking at the things that they're not able to do. And then you will be able to build on that relationship, and the two things will come together, and you'll have a fantastic relationship and enjoy parenting your child regardless of whereabouts they are on the autistic spectrum. So thanks again, everybody. I've been Sharon Lawton, and back to you, Chrissy, in the studio.
And now it's time for a break, so do join us after this. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone, your program for all things mental health and well-being. Well, now it's time to go over to our regular autism correspondent, Anna Kennedy, who's brought on her guest, Ahwai. Welcome to the show, ladies.
Hello.
Nice to see you
Lovely
again.
to have you both on. So Emma, we're going to speak to you in just a moment, but always we normally start with Anna because she normally has lots of updates for us, don't you, Anna?
Yes, we've been really busy in the charity as always. We've just finished our Autism Expo at Brunel University, and Emma came along and was one of our volunteers. It was amazing. So many positive messages of families saying, I don't feel isolated anymore. Nice. I've got some great information, went to the clinic, spoke to some professionals. So that was fantastic. So we're doing it again next year in March. Brilliant. Do you remember Marla and Tally, who we had, and we were talking about autism and culture? Well, we spoke to 150 ladies, all in a Sikh temple. And then we're invited again to speak to the men and women at the Sikh temple on Sunday. And they've asked us now to provide some workshops, so we're really making great strides.
That's brilliant.
It is. It was. Do you know what? It was really lovely on Sunday, and then on Monday was my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday!
Do you know what? I was really stressed about it. And do you know why? I've spoken to some families who are the same, like mums and dads, and I was stressed because I'm thinking I'm another year older. Fine, I get that.
But you look amazing.
But it's just like, it's me thinking, oh, I'm getting sort of closer to, am I going to be able to still be able to manage with my boys? You know, all that sort of, your brain just was going round and round and round. So, yeah, but then I thought,
something tells me that you're going to find a way to actually help people through this experience as well. Yeah. Because it's a common worry, isn't it?
It is. But I don't think I'll ever retire, so it doesn't matter anymore. Yeah, so those are a few things. We've had other things going on, but we're busy now for future stuff, which I'll tell you about a bit later.
And how do you know Emma here?
Well, Emma was on Autism's Got Talent last year. She has an amazing voice, and she's a lovely young lady, and yeah, she's going to tell you a little bit about her experiences.
Should we see a little clip of you in action first of all, Emma? Let's take a look at this.
Yeah, those words could deep, they don't mean you're all alone. You're not invisible, hear me out. There's so much more to this life than what you're feeling now. Oh, and someday you'll look back and all these things, and all this pain is gonna be invisible.
Amazing voice, Emma. Have you always been musical?
I have, yeah. From a very, very young age. You know, people say, you know, from when they were babies, you know, that they've been singing or they've been musical, but I honestly can't remember when or how I discovered a voice. I just kind of have always...
How does it make you feel when you sing?
It's amazing how music in general can make you feel. But for me, performing is my way of expressing emotions and feelings, because I'm not very good at expressing it in any other way. Okay. So yeah, that's my thing.
Okay. Well, can you tell us a little bit about some of the difficulties that you faced growing up? Because I know, obviously, I've read your profile, and you do actually say that you're more comfortable on stage than actually speaking to people. That's quite interesting. So tell us some of the difficulties that you've had growing up, and then when you were diagnosed as well.
Difficulties I had growing up, obviously, having my diagnosis at 24, going through school and the education system, knowing that I was a little bit different maybe, but not quite knowing what it was. My communication skills were very poor, mainly with in authority. Okay. With my peers,
not so much.
Not so much. But it was very much a struggle because teachers and the adults would see me socialising and you know. Being verbal with my peers, but when it came to the classroom or anything like that, I would be on shutdown, and they just thought that I was quite difficult. Okay. Yeah.
Which is actually quite an important thing to speak about, isn't it? Because a lot of children and young people are misunderstood, and especially by teachers and adults maybe, because it's true, if they see them sort of managing to socialise with their peers and then all of a sudden they don't want to talk to the authorities, it's kind of like, you can imagine what kind of problems that could cause, which is why it's important that you're doing what you're doing, Anna.
Yeah. So, so what were you diagnosed with at 24, if you don't mind?
So I was diagnosed with Asperger's, selective mutism, which comes into the whole thing about authority and speaking to certain people in authority. And PDA, pathological demand avoidance. So the three. Well, in fact, I got the PDA diagnosis very recently, but it all comes under the same package, really.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you want to help other people, don't you?
I do, and that's having. I mean, the struggles that I've faced, and are still facing daily. I just feel that I am able to help young people and other adults. And I found that I've obviously become quite a good person at doing that. Yeah. And it's what I like to do, especially with the music, just to raise awareness and to help other people. Yeah. So to be involved volunteering with Anna is great.
It must give you a lot of confidence as well. I mean, even coming on TV to do this.
Yeah.
How did you feel? Let's be honest. How did you feel like sort of the thought of coming on a TV show and speaking? Did that make you quite anxious?
In fact, no, it didn't, because
Anna's next to you.
What I aim to, partly, because what I aim to do is obviously be a voice and be an advocate for ASD. Being asked to come on TV, I mean, obviously, it's great, and it's hopefully one of many. Yeah.
This is why it's so fantastic to be on here, because obviously every time I come along, I can bring a guest, and they're all people that have had difficulties and they've overcome their adversities,
which is what the show is
about. And it's about sharing. So it's great that Emma can come along and talk about how it was and how it is.
Yeah.
You were telling me about you were doing childcare as well. So.
Yeah, so I have worked in childcare. So that was I loved it. I'm focusing a bit more on the music at the moment.
Okay.
But working in childcare, again, I heard that it was a very common thing for Asperger girls to do and to go into. And I love children and youth work and just supporting and helping people. That's in my nature. Yeah. So it's all it all comes under.
What about future career with your music? What are you planning?
So I'm currently writing some original material with a producer at the moment. So we're getting some original music together. Yeah. I'm a big fan of doing covers and doing my own kind of twist on certain songs. So that's another thing that I'm doing at the moment, recording some of these covers. And the next step is to set up the YouTube channel and get some things out there.
Oh, wonderful.
And I can help share that.
Yes, so we It sounds really exciting. That's really good. And it just goes to show, even if you do get diagnosed with the conditions and, people think, oh, it's the end of the world, my whole life's falling apart. But actually, you can do so many positive things. Doesn't mean anything negative.
Well, it's just like at Autumn's Got Talent when we have events, because all the performers, they make friends with each other. It's just so great to watch them all, or even sort of, having a bit of a banter as well going on.
Oh, we had a great time in the theatre. I remember that there was a couple of us just making noises and sounds and just having. It was great. It was so much fun. Amazing. Yeah, really, really great experience. Yeah.
Amazing. Anna, what about future plans? Have you got anything coming up that?
Well, it's Autism Awareness Week coming up.
Yes.
And I am working with Heathrow Airport. I'm actually going to be bringing the Autism Reality Experience sensory bus. So that passengers and Heathrow staff can experience what it's like to have a sensory overload.
Wow.
So that's something that I'm working with Heathrow. Also, you remember Autism with Attitude, our dancers?
Love them. How are they?
They're doing really well. They're obviously getting ready for the European Championships in May, but they're going to be performing at Heathrow Airport.
Oh, really?
So I'm really excited about that. So I've got other projects going on as well at Heathrow, but I can't say anything about them.
All right, okay.
And do you remember we spoke to J-Rock?
Yes.
Well, today's the day that baby boy, the re-release is coming out, so we're really excited.
Amazing.
Yeah,
so lots of stuff.
Check out Anna Kennedy online and you'll see the link and you can purchase the single.
Thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you.
We'll see you again next time.
Thank you, Emma.
Emma, thank you so much for coming and telling us
Thank
your
you for
story.
having
And all
me.
the best with your music.
Thank you.
Maybe you can come and sing for us one day as well.
Hope so.
Yes, definitely. Well, everyone, don't go away, because after the break, we'll also be speaking to Laura Southern, and she'll be answering your nutrition questions as well as giving us a healthy recipe. So one of the questions we received is, I'm recovering from acute gastritis. What foods are best to fortify my sick body and get it in better shape? Find out what she has to say after this break. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone, the programme that loves to look after your mental health and well-being. So now we have with us nutritionist Laura Southern. Welcome to the show, Laura.
Thank you.
So we've been talking about autism today, Laura, and you're going to be telling us some foods that are good for people on the spectrum.
Definitely. So what it's really key to remember when you're talking about anyone with autism is that as nutritionists, we can't claim to treat anyone or to cure autism, because it's not possible. What we can do is help look after any symptoms that they might have through food, making sure that they've got kind of the right nutrition to help with any health issues they might have. And there are certain health issues that are quite common to people who have got autism, namely gut health. There's a big link between problems with the gut and children or adults who have got autistic spectrum disorder. There's a famous, I don't know how famous it is, there's a diet that's quite commonly used for children, which is the casein and gluten-free diet. So casein is protein from milk, and gluten is the protein from certain grains. Wheat is the most common one, and rye and barley. And removing both of those from the diet for children with autism actually has shown quite a lot of times to help. It can help with cognition, it can help with concentration, and it is something that can be quite effective. It doesn't work for every child, and that's the thing with autism, you know. You've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. It's not kind of a blanket thing. There's also another diet which is quite popular for some people, but it's a very, very difficult diet called the GAPS diet, and that is looking at the gut, healing the gut to help heal the brain, which is effectively what it's doing. Now, we know that a lot of children and adults with autistic spectrum disorder or autism have problems with their gut, and this diet is very, very strict and quite complicated, but, you know, there's anecdotal evidence that it's quite helpful. And what that is all about stripping out majority of the food, actually, and rebuilding food, starting with things like bone broths, which is stewed up bones, quite high animal fats, very little fruit and vegetables, and really nothing else, and then you slowly build up. That is quite extreme, but
sounds difficult.
it's difficult. But looking at the gut and looking at any problems that might be going on in the gut can help. So, you know, we look at things like whether there's parasites in the gut or overgrowths of certain yeast like Candida or certain bacteria, maybe there's not enough or there's too much, and supporting that can actually help with certain certain autistic traits. But it's never a cure, it's just things to support. All
right. And today you're going to be making something for us.
Yes.
Now tell us whose idea this was.
Yes, so my son has actually got high functioning autistic spectrum disorder. And so I said to him, I'm coming on Chrissy B, and what should I make? And he said, I've got an idea, Mummy. And we are making Saturn bites. And I said, oh, that sounds like satellites. And he said, no, it's Saturn bites. And one of the things with, especially my son, I mean, not all children, well, actually probably most children, but not all children with autism, is that he does respond badly to a lot of sugar, a lot of, actually chocolate is a big no-no for him. It does send him quite wild. And this is a really nice snack because it's got some sugar from dates in it, but it's the natural sugar. There's nothing that's going to spike too much. And it makes a really nice kind of after-school snack for children. It could be a breakfast because of the ingredients that are in there. So what we're doing is we're going to make basically a little date and oat and nut ball and fill it inside some apple rings, and the idea is that they're little planets. So it's very easy.
Very smart idea.
It's a very smart idea. He's very creative, my son.
Thanks for that.
Yeah. So let's hope it's good, because what's really nice about this is that the kids, any kid can kind of do this. It's very, very easy if you've got a blender. So we're going to start with, actually I'm going to start with the nuts because they're the dry ingredients. So we're going to use pecans just because that's my son's favourite. roughly about 2 tablespoons worth. And pecans especially are brilliant for the essential fats that they have in them, which is always good for supporting anything with the brain. So I'm just going to turn that on. And they've gone really coarse, but they're quite blended down. I'm going to add in some oats. Oats are great for just helping stabilise blood sugar, actually. About 2 tablespoons. Blend it up again.
So just the dry ingredients first.
Just exactly.
Okay.
And then the dates. I'm just going to start slowly. I'll start with about 4. Actually, I'll do 5.
Just enough to bind.
Exactly, it's binding and giving it some sweetness.
Okay.
Okay, so what you're left with kind of looks a bit like thick sand, but it should, if we're lucky, squish together. It does.
Yeah.
And what you do is you simply take it. Actually, what I'm going to do is take out the blade. Be safer.
Safety first.
Exactly. And then you're just simply going to swish it. This is really, really nice for kids because they've got little hands and they can just roll really nice little balls.
Okay. Should we get a plate?
Apple, yes. And I've used here fresh apple with this. I've kind of cored it, so we've got little circles. You can also use dried apple rings as well. The aim of it is to make little satin balls, so it looks like they're kind of through both sides.
Oh, so cute.
And you've got a little planet.
That's such a clever idea.
It's really sweet, isn't it? He's very creative.
There you go.
And obviously they taste nice, and they're great for kids.
They smell good as well.
They do.
We've got a nice shot of that. These are satin balls, everybody. Very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to make a few more? Can you answer questions while you're making more?
I can, yes.
All right then. Okay, so we do have some questions.
Okay,
from
great.
Our viewers. The first one is, I'm recovering from acute gastritis. What foods are best to fortify my sick body and get it in better shape? Okay,
so gastritis is inflammation of the stomach lining. So what you have to be careful of is, well, first of all, it's quite good to find out what the cause is. It's often caused by a bacteria actually called H. pylori. And if it is that, then you want to get rid of it. Basically, the doctor can help with antibiotics or going to a nutritionist to kind of help with herbals. But to heal your stomach, you're looking at healing the stomach lining. So it's things like bone broths, which are very healing. Stewed apple is amazing. And eating small meals, lots of vegetables, fibrous foods, and staying away from kind of heavy meat foods, nothing too really high in fat and nothing spicy.
Okay, I'm hearing a lot about bone broth lately.
Bone broth is the thing.
Is it in thing now?
Yeah, so it started from this GAPS diet, which is the one I was saying about the autism. And it is the in thing now. And it's very, very healing. The bones from the animals, when they are boiled for like 36 hours, all the nutrients leach out into the water, and that is very, very healing for the gut. And once your gut is kind of working well,
do you think that's as good as, because there's also the bone broth powder as well, is that one good as well?
You know what, it's difficult to make. It's not difficult, it's time consuming and smelly to make your own bone broth. People do it and it's a labour of love. If you can do it from powder or you can do it from stock or you can buy it, you know, I'm all for shortcuts. It's busy life, but...
All right, next question. Which is better, fruit or vegetable juice? I know fruit juices have more sugar, but don't they have more vitamins?
Okay, I'm not a fan of juicing at all.
I got rid of my juicer the other day, actually.
Yeah.
Because of the stuff I've heard on this programme, that's too much,
yeah.
because the fiber's taken out and then you're just left with a load of big sugar rush.
Exactly, and when people do a fruit juice, they're chucking in so much more fruit than they would eat in a single sitting. And it's just pure sugar because it's been digested by the machine for you. So it's pre-digested, you drink it, it just goes straight into your bloodstream, causes a sugar spike, which causes an insulin spike. So yes, there's nutrition in there, there's vitamins and minerals, but...
Just eat the fruit.
Eat the fruit.
Or blend it, if you're going to maybe...
Same, it's still it's still that pre-digestion, so it's giving you the big sugar rush, and that's the damage.
I'm not going to get rid of my blender though, because I can make things like
yeah, exactly. Well,
all right,
a baby satin one there.
Okay, so better just to eat the raw fruit or vegetables.
Better, exactly.
Yeah.
And if you're having vegetables, then I would always say have them as a soup. So they're still blended up, but at least it feels like a meal. Whereas if it's a juice, you're more inclined to eat more food.
Okay, so. Yeah, makes sense. Okay, and last question for today. What foods are good for my joints? I do a lot of exercise that leaves them feeling inflamed and sore, and was wondering if you can recommend something for them.
Yes, so with inflammation, we're looking at things that kind of dampen down inflammation and help the body heal. So looking at all the oily fish that we always talk about, plant and nut seed oils, so avocado is going to be great, nuts, cold pressed oils are going to be brilliant. Dark-skinned berries, very good for helping with decreasing inflammation, as well as dark green vegetables. There are lots of joint support supplements you can get on the market as well, which can be really quite useful as well. Yeah. So it's worth just looking for those in the chemist or the health food shop.
This one's a half one.
Yeah, I know.
It's a satellite. Still very cute though. It looks like a little fan.
Really nice. I'm going to do some with some.
Laura, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Really nice. Thanks for answering the viewer questions as well. And everybody at home, if you'd like to know more information about Laura, you can visit our website, chrissybshow.tv, and just scroll down where you can find all our resident guests on the programme. And also, if you have a question for any of our nutritionists, all you need to do is email us on nutrition@chrissybshow.tv. Now don't go away, because after the break, Helena Chard gives us the latest in feel-good news, and I'll be sharing some common feelings that some of those with autism have, and it's very enlightening. But first, is this true or false? About 1% of the world population has autism. Find out the answer after this break. While I try one of these. Shall we try one, Laura?
Yeah, definitely.
I'll take the half one.
Okay, fine. I'm going to go for I'll go for the planet.
Okay. Cheers. I'm going to try this one. I love pecans anyway, so. Very nice.
Very nice.
Lovely. See ya. Welcome back to the Chrissy B Show, everyone, where today we've been speaking all about autism. So before the break, I asked you if this was true or false. About 1% of the world population is on the autism spectrum. The answer is true. According to the Autism Society, that equals to 70 million people who have been diagnosed. Now, we all know it can get all gloomy and doomy around the world, but don't worry, because we've got our very own positive newsreader, Helena Chard, to give us our weekly fill of feel-good news in a helping of happy. Hello, happy Helena.
Hello, happy Chrissy.
How are you?
Thank you for having me. Good.
Nice to see you again.
Thank you.
I love your news stories.
I know, I love my news stories too. So, Buzzer Beater has been a game changer for a young boy with autism. So a video of 15-year-old Robert Baswell has gone viral. And it's really exciting for him, as he was dribbling the ball, playing basketball, and he took one shot, missed it, and took a second shot, and it went in, but just as the buzzer went. Everyone just was so excited for him and cuddled him, and he couldn't believe it. And his mum basically said how it's really changed him. He's got a lot of confidence. It's really brought out conversation in him and eye contact, and also it's given a lot of parents with children with special needs a lot of hope. It's just something so small, and he keeps on replaying the whole clip, so it's really sweet, isn't it? It's a lovely story that I really liked. Moving on to something which is a little bit ambiguous, that there's a new test that can detect autism in children, scientists say. It's a blood and urine test. But exactly, but I think there are lots of people that are saying, okay, but surely just seeing people, watching people, you can detect autism. It doesn't have to be a test, but it's supposed to, if you can find it early enough, it just means that people can get the right treatment and things like that. So but as always with these tests, it's something that they have to keep on trying. But it's good to hear that that's what they do. Moving on to a naughty optician, so it's really, really, really good that he's been struck off, basically.
Why, what's happened?
Because he claimed that he was able to treat the vision of people with autism and brain injuries using coloured filters, and he's been saying he's able to transform lives. by wearing these tinted glasses, and obviously he had thousands and thousands of people that he was treating, and some people could see a difference, people felt that things were better, but it's a bit of a strange one, because experts say that yes, you can treat, tinted lenses can treat specific problems like migraines and reading difficulties, but you can't cure something like that. That's silly. So he was like really showing disregard for his professional colleagues. He admitted that there's not enough research into it, but felt that he was doing the right thing, but he wasn't, you know. And really, it's basically giving people false hope. So it's good in a way, but you know, even when you're struck off, you can then go and, I think you can go and be a sort of private consultant. Really? So still treating people coming in from abroad and things. So naughty, isn't it? Yes. That people go ahead, and he had so much confidence. He like convinced people that what he was doing was right and it was working. Anyway, so that's an interesting one. Plane passengers completely in awe of a young woman who helped a situation on a plane. And there was a boy with autism who got completely agitated. People were on a plane, they were there for hours, and everyone was fraught, and the young boy was completely fraught and sort of started having a meltdown. And the one thing this young lady, I can't remember her name now, what's her name, Rochelle? Yeah, she saw what was going on, and her one thing, she had to help the young boy, and she went over, the mother as well of the boy didn't know what to do. You can imagine on a plane, because you can't get out, so it must be so hard. And everyone was tired and fractious, and everyone wanted the boy to shut up, you know, it's that kind of thing. But she went in, somehow he responded to her. He put her hand out, and he took her hand, and she led him down to the back of the plane, took his shoes off and socks, and just played with him for the whole flight. Which, can you imagine? And the mum was, although she couldn't speak much English, she was so thankful, because she couldn't do anything, and it just would have, you know, she created a really good feel, and the child was happy. So that's good. I think she comes from she works for an organisation for children with disabilities, so she had the touch. Yeah, so I thought that was also a very lovely story.
Yes, it was. Thank you.
Carry on. Actually, my brother-in-law Johannes works in Sweden for a computer company, and he says that a lot of his friends and colleagues that he works with are all on the spectrum. And they're really, really very amazingly, he works for Google. I don't know why I said for a computer company. He works for Google. So I mean, obviously, really, really good brains to do computer work. So quite interesting. And also, the creator of Pokemon, a young man called Satishi Tajiri, he was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. I don't know, I think it's called the spectrum now, not just Asperger's. But anyway, he turned his fascination as a young child about bugs into Pokemon. So he did incredibly well. Chris Packham as well, who I absolutely love. He's a really successful TV presenter, and he recently, it was Asperger's and Me, and it talks about his life, because he was diagnosed at 40. But interestingly enough, it's quite late, but he would never change anything. He thinks it's made him who he is today. So it's a really interesting read. If anyone wanted to watch it, I absolutely think they should. Is time up? I hope not, is it?
One more.
Okay, this is not related in a way, but it's just basically a simple act of kindness that restores everyone's faith, I think, in modern society. And Yvonne Salomon got dementia in 2013, but her bosses at Sainsbury's kept her job. Bosses at Sainsbury's Harrow kept her job on. She has just had to retire because things have got a bit worse, but from 2013 they just changed her hours and the structure of her job. So for all those years, and she worked really, really well, and so it kept her dignity. And that her daughter and husband are sort of saying how great it is, and they've been doing sort of a media campaign. But how lovely is that?
Brilliant. That's a lovely one to end on as well.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We shall see you again next week. Okay, everybody, so now it's time to get into the mind of someone that has autism. Okay, so what I'm going to read to you now actually comes courtesy of autismum.com, and these, of course, not everybody, as we've heard, has the same symptoms because the spectrum is so varied. That's why it's called a spectrum. But these are just statements to give you an idea, actually, just to sort of help us to get into the mind of someone that has autism and some of the symptoms that various people may have. Please always keep in mind that communication difficulties are common with autism. We have difficulties in reading social cues and body language. Be patient and understanding. We tend to take things literally and often have trouble reading between the lines. As a result, we may ask a lot of questions to clarify what is meant by something that you say. Don't be offended by this. It's our way of being sure that we understand what you're telling us. We may repeat back to you in our own words to try and get on the same page as you. If we misunderstand something that you say, please be patient and expand on what you said and explain what you meant. Don't assume a negative or hostile intent from us if we misunderstand something that you said. Keep in mind that communication can be difficult for us. Things that come naturally to you take extra effort by us. Please don't get offended by our communication style. We tend to be frank, honest, and matter of fact. Some people may interpret this as blunt or rude. We don't intend to offend you by not sugarcoating the things we say. We don't intend to be rude. Please don't get defensive or assume that we are attacking you. Remember that communicating is hard for us. Don't make negative assumptions. Too often we get corrected or attacked by someone who fails to give us some slack and the benefit of the doubt. Please don't expect eye contact. We may be able to force eye contact, but it's not comfortable for us. Making eye contact takes a conscious effort. This effort may take away from listening and understanding what you are saying. I tend to look at a person's mouth more often than their eyes. Other autistic people will rarely look at your face. Please keep in mind that we most likely have been rejected, excluded, ridiculed, or bullied in the past. If we seem anxious or insecure, this may be due to living in a world that misunderstands us and is often hostile to us. We have to work hard to reach out to others. Please work at reaching back to us with understanding and kindness. If we feel that you're ignoring us, we will feel bad about that. We may persist in asking for feedback from you. Please be reassuring and clearly express your support for us. Please don't speak down to us. Treat us as equals. We may sound flat or have an unusual tone to our voice. We may not speak with our voice at all. We may need to type our words. Please be patient with us. It may take us a while to formulate our answers. Please don't talk too loudly or yell at us. It's very jarring to us. It makes me jump when someone comes up to me and talks too loudly. It's like having someone jump out of the dark yelling boo at me. It causes an adrenaline dump in my body. I don't like this. Please do not touch us without warning. It will make us jump. We don't like unexpected touches. Please don't assume that we lack empathy or emotion. We pick up on negative or judgmental attitudes. We know when people look down on us or are hostile to us. We will shut down if you show us a lack of respect. So as you can see, some very, very enlightening statements there, and I think that's helped educate everybody about autism. Well, everyone, we've reached the end of today's program, but if you have anything that you'd like to share about today's show, please do get in touch with us on info@chrissybshow.tv. You can also tweet us at chrissybshow or leave a message on our Facebook page, The Chrissy B Show. Until next time, bye for now.